Good evening, folks. Welcome to round 9 of the Austin E-GP series. On the Xbox, we're going to be at the Sachsenring this evening. We've got everybody just now starting to get joined into the game, so we are getting ready. Just a few more minutes to race time. Hope everybody's excited. Hope everybody's had a good week. I know our last races were just a few days ago. We're kind of a little goofy about keeping a schedule around here. Then again, we set our times. We do indeed start on time generally. Now, we weren't doing it previously, but we've gotten pretty good at it now. As always, we have Twitch, we have YouTube available, and of course, Facebook pops up automatically. So we'll see how many folks feel like watching this evening. And of course, it, as always, is archived over at Twitch for, I think, 2 weeks, and it's permanently at YouTube. So for anybody that needs that information, I'll try to get a better place to keep everybody informed of where that stuff is. Just waiting now on everybody to join and get things started. Of course, I suspect we might have a few people missing out this evening just for the fact that I believe there are a couple of track days going on right now or tomorrow. And July 4th coming up next weekend. So I hope everybody's planning barbecues and whatnot for it. Just a couple of folks waiting to ready up here. And we'll be jumping in and getting to it. At some point, I do need to get some house music here. I don't know what to do about that. I don't want to deal with copyright BS, and I don't currently, jam on my own. All right, just a minute more. And we should be getting ready to start here pretty shortly. All right, looks like we're getting started now with qualifying for Moto 3, so we'll go ahead and cut on over to it. And here we go as everybody gets started up. Just waiting now for folks to get tire selections, get settings done. Looks like we're having a cloudy day today. Came close to rain, but I believe at the last second we found that wasn't happening. I think generally folks tend to find it a little easier to do tire selection on these cloudier days. Our first folks out on the track here. Derek Key getting himself an early start. Yes, he decided he wants all of qualifying to give himself time to work on it today. So it's looking like for qualifying we have Dean Cagle Hines. Oh my god, I've forgotten. Forgotten his real name. I'm an idiot here. Bear Boss. Let's see. Oh, that's Richard J. Guess we don't have Napes this evening. Maybe he's busy. But it should be a good evening. Should be some good racing. Oh, and Jay having a bit of an off. Get him out of the way early, guys. 8.5 minutes remaining. You see there, Hines. I know earlier today he'd been talking about maybe not racing in the Xbox League this week, but I guess he decided otherwise. Glad to have him. We've got our first couple guys out on the track, just about to finish their first lap. Let's see how today's going to look. Just under 8 minutes remaining in qualifying. 133, a 131. Cagle, unfortunately, his lap invalidated, probably by stepping too far over the line. But he's got time for at least, 4 or 5 more laps if he'll hustle on it. Jay turning in 9 seconds, almost 10 seconds over Hines, putting down a 128.8 fresh out of the gate. They're a second and a half behind Hines. Not looking bad. And we're waiting on Voss to finish his first lap here. Hopefully Cagle will get a valid time this time. Looks like Richard has also probably found himself in a disqualified lap. So he'll probably have to hit that again. Not much churn happening right now. Richard, okay, that wasn't an invalid lap for him. 4.5 seconds off of the lead. Not bad. He and SOA sitting right next to each other. Dean putting in 2.1 seconds behind Hines. Not bad at all. Cagle at 9.9, and I'm starting to wonder, did Voss have an off? Or, okay, he's kind of sitting off to the side. I guess he's having a restart. All right. Plenty of time for him to work on laps. We are at 5:45 remaining in qualifying for Moto 3. Everybody working around. Bears still 1.3 seconds off of Hines. May find himself out on this lap. Just over half our time remaining in qualifying for Moto 3. Richard just about to finish a lap here. Down to 2.5 seconds off, so there he goes. Picked up 2 seconds on that lap. Looks like he's having a decent day starting out here. Something odd with the audio there. Not sure what's going on. Oh, I'll bet I know what's happening. Yep, that's it.
Are you not in the race?
All right, got my audio issue sorted there. Sometimes it happens. Oh, and Cagle having it off. That's unfortunate. SOA turning down another lap. Still sitting about 2.5 seconds off of Hines. Hines unable to best his lap either, with his 128.843 still standing as the top lap in qualifying. Just under 4 minutes remaining. Cagle now, though, only 3 seconds off of the lead, so not looking too shabby. We'll see if he can put down a couple more laps there a little better. Meanwhile, I don't think we've had a lap set down by Voss yet today. Yep, still showing him his 8th there because I don't think he's had a completion yet. I think maybe he's had other stuff he's had to deal with around the house or something. So just waiting on him to pull himself a lap in and see what we get. And there it is. Voss sitting 0.781 seconds off of Hines. Good enough for second there. Moves Bear back to third. That puts him still on the front row. I don't think he's going to have any improvements this lap. We'll see how the rest of his lap looks. Dean also not looking like he's going to move his time down at all. Nick J having a bit of an off. Cagle, meanwhile, 2 first sections looking really good. And then just kind of same as before on his 3rd section. As we have just under 2 minutes remaining in qualifying. Let's see here. Hines still holding out front. Voss so far this lap not looking like he's going to do too much with it. We'll see what he can do. Cagle still sitting exactly 3 seconds off of Hines. Looks like he's holding good speed around the track. It's just at this point, it's hard to go much faster than we had that time set by Hines early. Just over 30 seconds remaining in qualifying. Oh, I think we had somebody drop. Not sure who it was. I think it was Hines. Yep, he lost his stream as well. I wonder if he lost connection or had a crash. See what's going on there. We may wind up having to do another short qualifying. We'll see how this plays out. We are now out of time in qualifying. And Bear, meanwhile, has managed to move to just half a second under the time that Hines set before he got disconnected. Not having a bad qualifying at all. Oh. They're then going down as he was trying to finish one more lap, so that's going to be it for him for the day. Voss, meanwhile, not managing to move his time down at all this time. So there we are. We'll see what happens since we had a disconnection from Hines. Not sure what's up with that. Yeah, I see it there, Reckless. I don't know. He hasn't said anything on group chat. So as it stands currently, we have Bear, Voss, this way, front row, Richard, Dean, Cagle on the second row, and Nick J out on the third row. But we'll see what happened to Hines here since he got disconnected apparently. Not sure if he had a crash or what's going on there. We're trying to find that out. Give us just a second while you work out the technical difficulties there, folks. There we see it on chat. Hines had himself a system crash and is relogging. We'll see how they want to handle that, if we're going to run another short qualifying or what we're going to do here. Trying to get things rearranged. That was a bit of an oopsie. That happens sometimes. Stupid computers, it seems all they do is break. Alright, we'll probably wind up rebuilding the lobby and doing a 5-minute qualifying. Unless we want to go without it. But we'll see what folks want to do there. Alright. Looks like we're going to rebuild the party here real quick. Sorry about that, folks. Sometimes that happens. We get the technical difficulties and they kind of have to set everything back up. Alright, as we get everything sorted here. Alright, as we're getting things straightened out here, we'll probably change the rules on this in the future, just to avoid largely having the entire session take forever. That's been my only real concern with it. But I understand also a few folks are a little annoyed with the fact that they don't get to keep a good qualifying. I can understand that. We'll look at how we're going to handle the rules on that going forward. So we're waiting on them to get everything started back up. All right. So we've got everybody re-added, I think, and they'll be readying up here. We'll start again. We'll have a short qualifying this time. Yep. We will see how it goes. Sorry about the technical difficulties there, folks. Boy, there's a lot I wish they would change about this game, too. It would be nice if they'd allow you to re-add somebody after qualifying and just set their position in the group. There's a lot that'd be nice. But we'll see how much of that is fixed when we get around to using 2020, say winter. Meanwhile, here we go. Take two for Moto 3 qualifying. If anybody drops this time, we're just going through to the race. Can't be wasting time with lots and lots of redos. I know we had that happen last week, I think, for GP. We had like 3 restarts for qualifying. It was a mess. All right, so 5-minute qualifying. We've got folks already out on the track. Everybody except for Voss, Jay, and Hines are out there. I suspect Hines is going to set himself back. I think that was his plan, maybe to take a bit of a penalty for being disconnected and just start from the back of the pack. But we'll see if he wants to do that or not. I'm sure they're on group chat sorting out what they want to do there. As you can see, Voss there. Starting up early, and we'll see what we get out of this. Bear obviously was running second during the last qualifying, but was only off by half a second in the end. So having a very solid evening. We'll see if he's stayed warm. That's the main concern I'd have with us having everybody get restarted there. I'm hoping nobody got thrown off their rhythm. That would suck. This way, setting 130.7. And Bear, 129.5. Dean, 1.3 seconds off of that. Cagle, 1.89 seconds off of it. So looking like most of the pack still has it together. Oh, Dean having a bit of an off there. Hines putting down a 129.1. So only 0.3 seconds ahead of Bear. And Voss, 2.2 seconds back. Richard, 2 seconds off of Hines. So everybody looking pretty good. Entire pack within 3.5 seconds of each other, basically. Oh, and Jay having a bit of an off there. Bear not managing to move that time down at all on that one. Just over a minute remaining. Jay having another rough one there. Meanwhile, Hines moving that top time down to 128.3. Back down basically where he was during the last round of qualifying. Oh, and there goes Bear. Fortunately having a bit of an off. Of course, half the time, turn one turns into a bowling alley, and everything you set up in qualifying just doesn't matter at that point. And this one is no exception for having a rough turn one. Coming right out of the gate, you hit a big sweeping hairpin. No time remaining in qualifying. So at this point, what you get is what you get. We'll see what everybody winds up with. Looks like Cagle putting down 3.1 seconds over Hines. There, I don't think it's going to move much further down from the 1.2 he was behind Hines. Voss managed to put himself just a second behind that 128.3. The rest of our pack between about 2.5 and 4.5 seconds behind. everybody pretty tight on times tonight. Now, last bit of this track on the Moto3 bikes. It seems like the one place where it can be kind of tricky to make them work well is you've got a big triangle with essentially several straights around it into your finish line. The rest of the track very, very twisty. All right, as they are. Well, I think they were looking at putting penalty on Hines, but I guess they've decided not to. I'm not sure what the plan is there. Okay, yeah, there we go. There we go. He has been moved back to 7th. That will put him on the 3rd row. So you'll have Voss, Bear, SOA on your front row, Dean, Richard, and Cagle on your 2nd row. Then Hines and Jay on the 3rd row. As we get ready to start our first official race of the evening, it will be Moto3 on the Sachsenring on Xbox. Get ready for your first race of the night. How's it going, Austin? All right, everybody getting tire selections, suspension, final drive, all that stuff set up exactly as they like. Still going to be cloudy weather. No having to deal with rain. They were having everybody practice that a little bit earlier, but looks like the weather has decided to cooperate. All right, we are just about ready to get moving. Okay, here we go, folks. We are ready to start. And there it is. Looking like Voss having a bit of a rough start. As Bear flies past him. Dean as well. Hines all taking up that front row. Dean managing to hold on to it for the moment. Oh, a little bit of bowling, and out goes Bear. That's unfortunate for him. He was having solid laps earlier, and it turned into a bowling alley fast. So you've got Dean, Hines, and Cagle sitting up front. Richard not far off of SOA, just behind him. Voss now sitting back in 6th. Thanks to just not having a good start there. Oh, and Richard goes down. That's unfortunate. Finds himself pushed back to 8th. Meanwhile, Jay moves himself up to 6th. Voss sitting in 5th. Hines still chasing down Dean. We'll see if he can do it. Oh, not quite getting the audio right there. Looks like I left something set incorrectly. There we go. Look at this fight here. between Hines and Dean. Oh, Hines way outside, loses the tail. And Dean just leaves him behind. Now that was unexpected. Oh, man. A lot of churn this evening. That now leaves Cagle sitting in second, just 1 second behind Dean. Dean having a great evening so far. If he can hold it together, he might snag himself his first podium. And maybe even a win. That wouldn't be too bad for him, but Voss is hurrying up there. Oh, man, Richard unfortunately having another down in the back. So there we are. And Dean solidly holding on to it. Nobody making a tremendous amount of churn right now. It looks like all of our changes have been off of just folks having straight up wrecks. We'll see what kind of moves can be made here as we are currently on the second lap of 9 for the Sachsenring in Moto 3. And notice your first 4 of the race, all within half a second of each other. It is just a very, very competitive field tonight. See here from Voss's view, try to chase down Cagle. Cagle consistently one of our faster guys, just sometimes a little bit of trouble with consistency, but he seems to be doing well tonight. You see there, meanwhile, Hines putting down the fastest lap of the evening, even though he's not sitting out front. He's still 3.5 seconds back off of SOA, who is 1.1 seconds back off the fight we're looking at here. Voss, meanwhile, just can't make the pass on Cagle's stick. He's slipping up under him here and there, but he just can't get in and get the drive out. Dean, meanwhile, holding solid on the first place. He's not stretching it out a bunch, but he is not letting it go either. Cagle, meanwhile, managing to start putting a little distance onto Voss. If he can hold on to it, he might manage to catch first. We'll see what he can do here. Ooh, Voss a little too far on the inside. Touches his shoulder on the fence. Manages to keep it up. But that's not going to help him catch up. Ooh, good deep on the brakes there. Coming through 12. Dean's starting to get crawled up on by Cagle and Voss. They're not letting him get away easy. As our entire podium at the front getting a solid drive out, but Dean seems to have gotten a little better drive. And he's managing to put that little bit more distance. Ooh, as he's very wide coming through 2. About to start the hard horseshoe here into 3. Look at Cagle. Almost gets the pass, but just can't make it stick. But that opens things up for Voss. Trying to cut way inside. Not getting it either. These guys are all over it, just wanting the pass. The problem with these situations is you start pushing your rhythm a little too early. It'll cause you to make mistakes just trying to get the other guy as they're through turn 8. Voss looking very fast through there, a little bit on the outside. Ooh, bumping, maybe touching Cagle just a tad bit there. As they both head into 11, starting the fast part of the track. We'll see who's got the speedier setup here. Dean once again stretching it out once he gets any kind of straights. Voss with an outside pass on Cagle, and looks like he makes it stick this time. Very, very good pass by Voss. Cagle now finding himself in 3rd, but not by much. You can see there, he's got a good chance to catch back up if he can just be consistent in his driving. This is definitely going to be a fight. And Hines passes briefly through SOA and winds up off the track. Then so he winds up off the track. So now we're getting churned in 4th and 5th, but they've both fallen back off of the podium group here, as these guys are just fighting to decide who places where on the podium. The rest of the field's got a hell of a lot to do to catch up to them, but they've still got 4 laps to do it. Dean swinging very wide, trying to hold on to his speed. Clearly he's set up more for speed, but there goes Voss with a great pass under him. Through 9 and 10, Voss manages to hold on to it. Kegel swinging pretty wide. Oh man, what a fight. As you can see here, the view from the back of Voss. Look at this. Neither Dean or Kegel gonna let him have an easy time getting away with this win. But that was a great pass by Voss there. Took advantage of what he had available. Oh, and he is slowly starting to stretch it back out on him. Hines, meanwhile, 4.2 seconds back off of the podium. We'll see if he can actually make it up. I don't think he can, unless he starts getting really fast laps or these guys start making really big mistakes. Voss had just a bit of an early problem, but has spent the rest of the race really going brilliantly around the track. Showing that, yeah, he might have had a little trouble, but he's not going to take your shit in the long run. Oh, Dean continuing to harass him away on the outside. Kegel, though, telling Dean, hey, you aren't the only one that wants to be higher up on the podium. Oh, but it looks like Kegel gets backed off just a little bit. As Dean goes very wide through 12, Kegel holding a slightly better line, and you can see he manages to catch him a little bit there. If he can continue to hold tighter lines, oh, nope, he probably got a little nervous on that one. Lost a bunch of speed braking. Checks to see if anybody's coming right up on him, but for the moment, Hines is still about 2 seconds back there. Maybe he can catch it up. 2 more laps to go after this. Now, if you're Kegel, you're trying not to be too nervous. You're trying not to run into Dean and cost yourself the race, but at the same time, you know you got Hines breathing down your neck. Oh, and there goes Kegel down. Oh, no. And that costs him that 3rd place slot. He's got 2.5 laps. Or I guess, excuse me, about 1.5 laps to catch up. That was an inopportune time to have that happen. And Key is now breathing down Kegel's neck. As Hines is now pushing his way, he's up on the podium at this point. But I don't think you're going to see him settle for that. He's going to keep pushing for higher up there. Meanwhile, as you can see, there's Dean is now almost 3 seconds behind Voss. Voss is just working on stretching out his lead on the rest of the group. We'll see if he can do it. You see him there on the front straight. Our podium now sitting 5 seconds ahead of the rest of the pack. Dean doing his best to hold off Hines. In this case, is going to have to cover as defensive a line as he can. But I don't know if he's going to be able to. He's definitely got this track down well. He's had a great race. Oh, no! And Voss goes down. And there goes Hines through on Dean at that exact moment. And that takes Hines from third to first within a couple of seconds. Dean now sitting a quarter second off of his tail, and Voss 2.5 seconds back off of them. Wow, that was a sudden change. Man, oh man. If you're Voss right about now, you have got to be hating your luck there. And if you're Hines, you've got to be pumping your fist about that one. Boy, you could not have a better alignment of good timing and skill and luck than to go from third to first that fast. Oh, and Jay having another off, unfortunately. And Bear going down. A lot of the track having trouble, a lot of the field having trouble staying up. We are on the final lap. You're looking at the back of the podium here. If Voss is going to get this race, I think he's going to be stuck waiting for a massive mistake from out ahead of him. Even if he's doing real well, neither of our two guys up front have been having that many minor errors the entire race, so there is not much chance of getting the front without just a complete meltdown of our two lead positions. Wow, what a change. Oh, and Bear unfortunately having another off. It looks like early in the race he just threw his rhythm off and has not been able to get it back. Oh, Voss trying to cut that corner just a bit too tight. As we are heading into the final quarter, 13. And he is not close enough to make a pass at all, so there you go. Hines across the line in first. Dean in second, a well-earned podium for him. He drove brilliantly. He just had two guys he was fighting with out there that are really good. And Voss gave it a valiant effort, but winds up in third. Cagle, meanwhile, unfortunately could never quite get it back. Did well, but just one mistake cost him. Put him back there in fifth, unfortunately. He was having a great race up to that point. So there you go, guys. That's the results for your first race of the evening in Moto 3 on the Sachsenring. As always, note that we have guys, the laps ultimately during the race were very, very close. Not more than a couple seconds between the entire field. Great race for starting the evening out, though. Bodes well for the rest of the evening. All right, as we wait for things to move over to the next qualifying of the evening for Moto 2. All right. We'll take a brief break, and then we will be back qualifying for Moto 2 on the Sachsenring on the Xbox. Alrighty, we are just about to start Moto 2. As a matter of fact, everybody is in and readied up, and they have transitioned over to the track. Timer has started. Looks like we've got Dean already out on the track. And at it hard. Boy, that was a good race there, though. So let's see how this second one goes. As there you can see everybody looking solid. Generally, lately what we have found is Moto 2 has been tremendously competitive. So I'm looking forward to this because that was probably one of the more intense Moto 3 rounds that we have had this season. And I think that was, if anybody out there that knows, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was the first podium that Dean has had this season. So congratulations to him. It was a good, well-fought race there. We've got a few folks who are already about 3 sections in. This is a really short track, seeing as you have minute-and-a-half laps coming out of Moto 3. So I expect Moto 2 to be ridiculously quick. Just under 8 minutes remaining in qualifying. We have a drop again? Who do we have here that just dropped? All right. Let's see what they want to do. They will probably want to... Oh, okay, it was Bear. Yeah. I think we'll probably wind up restarting qualifying again since we did that for the previous one. We'll let them discuss that and get everything sorted out there. Yep, I can see Bear trying to load back in right now. And you can see there, Hines has put down a 125.2. But we'll see if this stands. I'm going to see if we want to restart qualifying, since we did last time, for having somebody disconnect for this evening. I would say we should go ahead and probably just continue that policy, and if we want to change it in the future, we change it in the future. But we'll see what the guys racing want to do. I will let them to make the call there. As Voss sitting 0.2 seconds off of Hines. Hines again moves his time down another 0.2 seconds or so to 124.9. Oh, Dean having a bit of an off there, but sitting 0.7 seconds off of Hines. Looks like Sachsenring is going to be a strong track for him. Appears to be having a great evening for it out there. SOA 1.9 seconds off of the lead. Kegel 2.8 seconds off the lead. Jay sitting 3.1 seconds back, and Richard 5.484 seconds, and having a bit of an off again, unfortunately. Jay, meanwhile, moving his time down to just 3 seconds over. All right, as it's looking like they've decided to go ahead and restart, we'll probably do a short qualifying. 5 minutes, since we've already done 5 minutes. and we'll try to get through it without anybody dropping. They seem to be having a bit of bad luck this evening with that. Sorry about that, folks. Just technical issues this evening. Really obnoxious. We usually don't have quite this much of an issue. So if everybody would, tell their systems to not crash and tell the internet to continue working, that would be much appreciated. Alright, as we wait for everybody to rejoin, hope everybody's enjoying it this evening. Obviously, the technical issues are annoying, but it's decent quality racing. Starting to sound like I'm pulling out Ricky-isms. My motorcycle does my racing. Alright, everybody, will have a little more time this evening. Actually, ultimately, this will be about the same amount of time for qualifying if they just roll from previous settings and out onto the track. Alright. So let's get some Moto2 qualifying done on the Sachsenring. This is my terrible French. I don't even know what country I'm in. No wonder I can't pronounce German worth a shit. I'm assuming it's French. Oh. All right, still cloudy weather. As we get ready to start, everybody about to hop back out on the track. Let's avoid any disconnects this time. Yep, as everybody hops right out. Nobody really taking their time getting out. It's going to be a tight qualifying. It'll be hard to not interfere with each other, but hopefully everybody can keep it clean and get it done. And there we go. You can see Kegel, SOA, Voss, Hines, and Bear all out on the track trying to get through it. Kegel, unfortunately, having it off immediately, but again, get him out of the way fast. Oh, and another one real quick there. Probably will want to reset his flying lap there after that. Ooh, Bear. Rear end shaking around a little on him. That is the nice thing when you're running on a cloudy day. You have a little more freedom in tire selection. Not quite as much of a heat problem. And we have run into cases a couple of times this season where bad tire selection has cost people entire races. It's been rough. There you are, Bear setting himself 1.2 seconds back off the lead. Hines setting the top with a 124.6, which is a bit faster than he had in our initial qualifying. Bear barely holding it together. And Jay just about to finish his first lap, and 2.5 seconds off of Hines. Not looking bad there. SOA 2.2 seconds off, Bear 1.2 seconds off, and Voss barely half a second off of Hines. Nipping at his heels, as he very often does. And there's Dean putting himself up just over half a second off of Hines. Tell you what, that guy is hot this evening. He is having a good evening. Oh, having a bit of a disconnect from our race director there. Oh, there he goes. We'll cut back to him in a moment here. Bear now finding himself in third, because Dean's just looking solid tonight. Definitely ate his Wheaties this morning, or whatever it is the kids do these days. Oh, and Bear having an off. 1 minute, 15 seconds remaining in qualifying. You can see here Voss, 2 solid sections, setting personal best, but it doesn't look like he's going to beat the time that Hines has set so far. Ooh, 124.703. That is good enough to put him just 0.1 of a second, barely under 0.1 of a second off of Hines. Very, very solid indeed. Let's cut back to Cagle. He had a good first race and then just had one rough wreck, and that cost him. So we'll see if he can give a better performance here in Moto 2. Yeah, that lap going to be a little bit slow. He's going to need to go ahead and push just a bit harder for his next one. Oops, swinging very wide around one. Hopefully he can get it under control here. You can see there Richard needing to go ahead and put himself down a lap. He hasn't gotten one down quite yet. Cagle, meanwhile, still 5.281 seconds off. Jay having a very solid qualifying. Oh, and Richard there off the track. That will probably disqualify him from finishing. We'll see. Hines setting a 124.5 for the best lap in qualifying. Bear, meanwhile, managing to come 1 second behind that. Dean, 0.7 seconds off of it. Not looking shabby at all. Richard puts himself 3.1 seconds, and there we are. There is going to be your final results there for qualifying at Moto 2 Sachsenring on the Xbox. as Hines getting bumped back. Is there a reason we're putting 2 guys back? Already, I guess. Hines and Voss wanted to be moved to the back row to start the race. So we will have Dean, Bear, and Cagle up front. SOA, Jay, and Richard on your second row. And Voss and Hines rounding out the third row for Moto 2 on the Sachsenring. Will certainly make things more interesting. They have to fight their way through the pack. I guess that's their intention. That has definitely been the pattern. Both of them, you put them in the middle of the pack, they still have to fight their way through. So they don't get to stretch those leads out. But you can't let them get away from the pack, and they're just gone. So it might make it a bit more interesting. All right. Looks like we are going to jump over to do entire selection, tuning things up, and then we'll start our second race of the evening. Hope y'all are looking forward to this as much as I am. So keep in mind with the Sachsenring, what you have is a very, very technical start through your first 3 sections. And then your last section of the track is basically a series of sweepers and straights, coming all the way through the start-finish line. So while in Moto 3, it was kind of tricky to make passes happen after all the technical sections, in Moto 2 and MotoGP, I suspect this is a track where the last bit of the track you're going to see a lot of passing happen. But we will see. All right, looks like everybody has finished setting their bikes up, and we are ready to go for our second race of the evening. Going to be Moto 2 on the Sachsenring, the Xbox Series. And we are off. Dean with a very solid start. He's going to hold on to his pole as we head into turn 1. Ooh, right up under him, Bear, and Bear is thrown out. Unfortunately, that puts him out of first, or out of second very quickly when he tried to take first. Voss, meanwhile, just shot from the very back row, pulls himself a hole shot, and off he goes. My God, that was quick. He's already through turn 6 at this point. And you can see there on his mini-map, it is hard for the rest of the field to catch him. Hines has moved up to 4th. Dean not making any major mistakes, but just finds himself just back behind Voss. As we are already into the final section of the track. Boy, it's a short track. Happens very, very quickly. So here we are into the 3 straights. Through 13, heading up to the front straight. And that'll be Voss in command of your first lap. Looking here at Hines, sitting in 3rd right now. Dean sitting there sandwiched into 2nd. SOA back in 3rd. SOA in 4th. Kegel in 5th. Bear in 6th, just behind Kegel. Richard back in 7th, not far behind Bear. And Jay at the back of the field, not very far off of Richard. You've got a gap between 4th and 5th, but the rest of the field is just tight together. Oh, and Bear unfortunately having another off. Man, wonder what's up with him this evening. He's just having a rough one. He's having great lap times. It's just he's having a bad time for consistency tonight. That is too bad to see. That puts him at the back of the track. Or back of the pack, excuse me. Meanwhile, we've still got our fight up front. You can see here Hines looking to make the move and slips up under Dean with a great pass coming through 12. Dean now trying to fight back, but it looks like Hines just isn't going to make it easy on him. So there we go. Now Hines looking to challenge Voss for first.
Got you to look
You can see here they're chasing each other through the front technical section of the track. Through 5, which has that very wide sweep to it. Nice double apex. Ditto for 7 being a long sweeper. Then it'll be, 8, another good sweeper. Then 9, the slight juke to the left. Then 10, another hard turn to the left. And then we start the straights. But Voss looking like he's just going to try and run Hines down the track as fast as he can. Oh, and Nick J having an unfortunate off. That might push him back a bit further. Yep, that gives Bear an opportunity to push up into 7th. Richard sitting in 6th, about 2.1 seconds off of Cagle. Cagle, meanwhile, unfortunately able to close the gap between him and the front of the pack. SOA and Dean fighting right now over 3rd. And you can see here up front, Hines and Voss fighting for 1st and 2nd. Hopefully Dean can close that gap that he's got there between him and Hines. Hines just had a great pass on him earlier, and he and Voss have just kind of run away with the lead. Oh, Jay unfortunately having another off. That's disappointing, putting him further back off the rear. Hopefully he can get it back together there. He's got plenty of time. We got 6 more laps to go. Oh, man, Bear. Disappointing. Oh, it was Keith. That's what it was. I'm remembering things. I'm trying not to boomer too hard around here, but apparently I'm going to. Finally went through and looked everything up correctly. So you can see here, Key, SOA. The problem is some of these guys have so many of their tags that I'm like, wait, who is this? Key, meanwhile, sitting just back off of Dean. This is your fight right now for 3rd place. And Key not quite holding as tight a line as Dean is. Oh no, but Dean has a moment and throws the bike out of turn 4. So Key through 5 and 6 now has himself sitting in 3rd. Meanwhile, Hines 6 seconds up ahead and has managed to close the distance some between him and Voss. You can see where it is. He's now 0.2 seconds behind him, basically right on top of him, doing a nice job of trying to push under in 12. Voss managing to close the door at the last second, though. Yep, driving defensive, keeping Hines from managing to take position there. Hines trying to get up close to him and get a slipstream coming down the front straight, but just can't manage to do it. They are on lap 6. Oh, Hines trying really hard to get up under, but Voss saying, no, I'm going to go ahead and close that on you. As they come through the chicane into the horseshoe here in turn 3. Through the double apex of 5 and 6, and Hines just can't make anything happen there. Voss carrying better speed through that turn. As the rest of the pack, Key is 11.3 seconds off of these two fighting. So the only way the rest of the pack catches up is if Voss and Hines just absolutely fall apart. This time, Hines not quite as close coming into 12, so doesn't manage to get the pass there. And then through 13, Voss just really solid, doing a really good job of just being faster than Hines. But both of them having a great evening here. Oh, Richard unfortunately going down. Currently in 6th. Oh, look at this! Brilliant pass in turn 1 by Hines, just slipping up under Voss. Voss gave him a little too much room and away he went. But you can hear Voss back there, not wanting to let go. Oh, but his rhythm being thrown out and he's swinging way too wide, coming through 5 and 6, not carrying the same speed that he was earlier. Hines managing to start stretching out the lead. Cagle having a bit of a wreck near the back. Look at this, Hines. You just don't let him get the pass on you or he starts going away. Heading into the straights now. We'll see how ballsy Voss can be. You can hear that he hit the limiter just before downshifting and braking. So maybe he was just pushing it a bit too far. Oh, trying to get the drive out, but Hines just a little bit better leaving the turn. But you can see that Voss is being really aggressive on his front brakes for this. You can see also that he is touching the end of 6th gear, so he might have geared just a bit too low for the straights here. I suspect that is costing him just the smallest amount, and that's enough for... But look at him! Hines swinging way too wide around 3. And Voss immediately takes advantage of it. Carrying solid speed through 5 and 6 and a decent line. Very nice line through 7. Look at this. Turn 10, and this is where it starts the fast bits of the track. We'll see what he winds up doing here. You can see there he is, touching the end of 6th gear. This is the reason we would see Hines try to slip up under him on some of these straights coming through the turns. But who knows if he can actually make it stick, and there they are at 13. Not quite enough out of Hines. It looks like Voss is taking advantage of the fact that he does have slightly better acceleration as a result of the choices he's made there. Ooh, but Hines late on the brakes. Just couldn't quite get there in time. Very, very close, though. Both of these guys just penalizing each other for mistakes every time they happen. Too early on the brakes? Get past. Too late leaving the turn? Get past. And there we are, double apex. And, yep, Voss starting to stretch it out again. Hines starting to really warm his rear tire up.
I didn't realize it was a 10-lap fucking race. I mean, I knew it was 35%. Yeah.
And there we go. Richard, meanwhile, having another off, unfortunately. As we can see, Key's still sitting 15 seconds back in 3rd, but Dean now challenging him 1.2 seconds off of 3rd place, but 1st and 2nd still not decided. Hines, I think, starting to struggle. Oh, wow. Starting to struggle a little bit with his tires from what we could see there. But Voss still unable to stretch it out on him, so it's looking like... Oh, nope, Voss is slowly moving ahead on him. Wow. Not doing bad at all. It looks like his setup has paid just a little bit more. And we'll go ahead and see how the rest of the field is looking for our last lap here. Dean, unless he does something really soon, Key is going to go ahead and take third from him. Cagle, unfortunately, having another off, just hasn't been able to put it back together this evening. And the front of the pack going really quick, and there it is. Here we are coming into the finish line. There goes Voss across the line. Hines just a couple seconds behind him. And if Key can avoid a mistake, he's got enough space between him and Dean. Yes, it looks like this will be a third for him. There you go. Dean, unfortunately, unable to replicate the same performance he had during Moto3. Doing decent, but just not quite enough to net him a podium. And Cagle having one more little off there, unfortunately. A lot of wrecks this evening. Very rough, very technical little track. So there we are. Voss with your first. Hines with second. Key with third. And the rest of the field finishing up. Dean, Cagle, Bear, Richard, and Jay. It's turning out to be a rough track. Alrighty, so there's your results for your second race of the evening. Moto2 on the Sachsenring for the Xbox side of the Austin E-GP League. And we will take a brief break and be back with our third and final race of the evening for MotoGP on the Sachsenring on the Xbox. Thanks for watching, folks. I really appreciate it. Alrighty, folks, we've got everybody starting to ready up. Got a couple of the guys that need to take care of just a couple more little chores around their house. I think we said a couple of the guys were ordering food, so make sure we give them a moment to do what they need to do. Hope everybody's enjoying the races this evening, though. Doesn't look like we've had anything where it gets completely messed up. Wind up with anybody just completely blowing everybody away. But we have had our front of the field get out in the head a couple of times. Well, I think they're having to rebuild the lobby real quick. Yep, they forgot to set proper qualifying time. Whoops. All right. Yeah, it's kind of hard to remember. Oh, wait, I just set it to a short qualifying. Now we need the regular 10-minute qualifying. So that can be kind of hard to deal with there. So we're going to start GP on this track. And, man, I'll tell you right now, it's hard enough to drive the GP bikes on your average track. But this thing being so short, you're probably going to be looking like, what, a minute and 20 for a lap? Holy crap. It's going to be fast around this little thing. Going to look like a Formula One car going around Coda. And if you've not watched video of that before, it's kind of disturbing. All right, as we wait for everybody to get it set up. Yep, they're having to re-add everybody because they realized as they tried to start the race, number one, we had the qualifying time set wrong. Number two, I think we still had Richard busy ordering himself food there. All right. Looks like they've managed to get it set up this time. So we are about to actually start qualifying, I believe. Okay. And the Germans made a tricky track. I think I have seen more wrecks on this track this evening than I've seen in the entire season on all the other tracks put together. It has been a rough one. It is a very, very technical track. I can't criticize anybody having trouble here. Alrighty, as they have gotten started, and we are qualifying now for GP on the Sachsenring on the Xbox. Is everybody getting everything set up and ready? And we will see how it goes. Looks like Bear and Kegel, along with Key, are first guys out on the track. Bear already on his flying lap having a little bit of trouble there. Saw his tail kind of sliding out for a moment. Ooh, and Voss already having an off. Oh, Bear wheel high in the air coming into three. Careful, they'll black flag in. Ride smart for that one. Bear looking solid. Through the double apex of 5 and 6. Through the sweeper on turn 7, then turn 8. The next sweeper, it's a very tight turn, then suddenly turns into a sweeper. Oh, is Voss having another off. He's having a bit of a time getting things going here. So we'll see how the laps get set. The first couple of laps, Cagle is up front, just about to finish his first lap. There he is, a 1:20.937. Very solid lap out of Cagle. Had a couple of rough first couple of races, but looking good for starting qualifying for GP. And Hines puts down a 1:20.375. So Cagle not looking bad, being within half a second of Hines right off the bat. 7.5 minutes remaining in qualifying. Hopefully Cagle can go ahead and keep up that performance and get himself a decent podium here this evening. It looked for the first couple races like for all intents and purposes he should have something, but he'd just have a moment of a wreck or something like that, and it would just cost him. So hopefully on this one, he can give a little better performance for us. Looking very much like the fast parts of this track feel pretty good to him. He's 1.1 seconds back currently off of Hines. Was that what I saw? Yeah, unfortunately on this lap, it doesn't look like the lap that he's going to manage to push into first there. Meanwhile, Voss is out on the track, and we'll see what he puts down for a time. Hines, meanwhile, moves his time down yet further to a 1:19.812. So he is positively flying on the GP bikes this evening. You can see Voss here running the Suzuki as he usually does. Boy, look how fast you take that turn every single time. 11 is just quick into the downhill. Oh, Cagle having an off there. Voss setting race best for... Oh, and I don't know what invalidated him there. As we can see Hines there looking to set another group record at another group best at 1:19.625. Voss 0.75 off of him. And Cagle 1.3 seconds off. Bear just 2 seconds even back. Dean 2.8. So clearly Dean just having a stronger evening on the smaller bikes. He knows the track well, but it's clear that he's a lot better on the small bikes doing it. Key sitting 3.6 seconds back. And Richard and Jay need to put in laps. Both of them having a bit of trouble with wrecking, etc. So they're having trouble getting a solid lap in. So it's going to take them a little more time. They do have time. We have 4 minutes remaining in qualifying. Hines, meanwhile, sitting a second section and third section group bests. So we'll see if he can move it down even further. Nope, he's still going to sit at that 119.6. Cagle, meanwhile, can't manage to put any more time off of what he had done previously there. Still, he does have a front row position if he can hold on to it. Dean, meanwhile, looking like all the way around the track. Yep, all the way around the track was having personal bests, and that will give him a good enough to barely push Cagle off the front row with a 1.187 seconds off the lead. Voss, meanwhile, sitting 0.281 seconds off of the lead. Hines continuing to try and push his time down with 2.5 minutes remaining in qualifying. Richard and Jay still yet to turn in a full lap. Hopefully they can get that done there. Nope, Hines unable to move that time down any further yet again. He's got 2 more laps probably to do it. But we'll see if he actually can. It's turning out to be a bit of a chore to get any lower. Bear, meanwhile, looks like he has started another lap. Yep, he is rolling out from autopilot right now. Richard having difficulty getting it. It is just a rough track. Oh, he did manage to put 2.093 off the lead, which will put him just behind Bear. Good solid lap time. The problem will be keeping it consistent. This is just a mean track. It has been eating people up this evening. You can see everybody that's completing a lap is completing it within 2 seconds of the lead. There's not much space in the field total for a lap time. So it's once again going to come down to who can keep it from turning into a wreck, who can do it continuously and as flawlessly as possible. Ooh, and Key having another off there as he's trying to move up from 7th, get himself off the back row, but looks like he'll just have one more shot at it. Oh, and Hines, just as he's about to finish one more lap, throws the bike out. Decides he is in it to bin it. Richard having another off, unfortunately, and time being out at this point, I don't think he'll get... Yeah, it doesn't look like he'll get another lap in, unfortunately. Meanwhile, Voss trying one more time to see if he can best Hines this time. It's going to be rough. He starts up with a personal best immediately on the first section. We'll see if he can do any better. Cagle, also 3 sections of setting personal bests. Looks like he might manage to creep up on Dean and get up on the front row. Going off of his previous time, if he's besting it, there's a good chance he'll get up there. Bear also looking like he's making a solid attempt. Oh, and Cagle, great lap, but just unable to move it down any further. So that'll put him on the second row. Bear manages to knock almost half a second off of his time as well. And Voss finally finishes his lap, unable to push it closer than 0.093 seconds off of Hines. Boy, those two are just within a hair of each other. So there you go, your front row, Hines, Voss, and Dean. Don't know if they'll be applying penalties and moving Hines back. I guess he's decided he wants to do that. And it looks like, it looks like Hines and Voss want to move back. So you'll see Dean, Cagle, and Bear on the front row. Richard, Key, and Jay on the second row. And Hines and Voss, or Voss and Hines, rounding out the third row. So there's your lineup for the last race of the evening. We'll now be starting up the MotoGP class on the Sachsenring on the Xbox. Good luck to all our racers. Everybody enjoy the race. Everybody getting readied up, getting those final selections in. This is your last shot for the night if you're wanting to taste of victory. Get in there and do it, boys. All right, everybody just about ready to get started. Just waiting on a couple of last adjustments. I think we'll be ready to go. Of course, here in actual Austin this evening, bit of rain. Been kind of a nice evening. All right. Here we are, folks. Last race of the evening. This will be your MotoGP class race on the Xbox. And they are off. Dean managing to get a solid start. So he'll hold on to that front row position for the moment. Richard pushing for it, but unfortunately throws it and bends it out of turn one. Cagle takes second there. Hines manages to push his way all the way up into third. Key has a wreck. I think that was in the third turn? I'm not sure exactly where we were at there. So there you are. Oh, that is rough. Through the sweepers on through the double apex on 5 and 6. Then 7 with that short juke into 8. Oh no! Disaster for Dean. That costs him the lead. That leaves Cagle, Hines, and Bear running in your top 3 positions. Jay has an off, unfortunately. I'm not quite sure what's going on there with latency. So that leaves Hines and Cagle fighting over first.
Right now.
You can see there, Hines all over Cagle, and here they come into the front straight. Oh, but Cagle barely managing to hang on to it, but late on the brakes for Hines. But look at that. There he goes, flying out of turn 1. He pushed it way too far, and Cagle is taking advantage of it and just flying ahead. Oh, and Voss having it off. Wow, GP is turning out to be unpredictable this evening. I wouldn't have seen this happening. Hines does manage to get up and get back into second, sitting 2.5 seconds off of Cagle, but he's going to have it all to do to catch him. Cagle having a pretty good run in GP. Looking really good through the fast sections. That Honda being one of the faster bikes on the track if you can keep it under control. And it looks like he's having good luck with it so far. The only mistake you can make, though, when you've got Hines behind you, you can't let up. You can't say, oh, I've got the lead, I'm safe. You've got to keep driving like somebody's all over you. He will catch you, and as you can see, he's starting to show back up on the radar there. We've got a second and a half. Hines sitting back off of Cagle, and then Bear sitting a second and a half off of Hines. Ooh, they're barely keeping that Ducati under control. You can see his front wheel leaving the ground in almost every turn. Wonder Bread would not be happy with that. As Hines manages to start to pull away, coming through the double apex. Yep, Bear just having trouble keeping that bike under control. Look at this. This is a race that's just so unpredictable with how rough the course is how many folks are having wrecks and how short the laps are. You just don't know what the changes are going to be and when they're going to happen. Hines looked like he's starting to chase Cagle down, though. Trying to catch him again. Hope he doesn't pull what he did last time. He'd better have it under control coming into turn one. And he does. That is a very solid line through there. Oh, this time Cagle has got somebody all over him. Oh, looking like Hines letting his rhythm off a little bit there. Swinging a bit wide through three. Very nice through 5 and 6. Ooh, meanwhile, Cagle having a bit of a wobble. And that puts him wide on 7.
You almost lost your front end, didn't you?
Here they come through 8. Cagle just having a phenomenal race on GP, though. Just doing a wonderful job.
Brake a little bit later and a little bit harder.
Now you can kind of hear Hines giving suggestions there on what it takes to continue going fast around here. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Hines late on the brakes. Nearly manages to get it coming through 12. Coming into 13. Cagle has him blocked. If Cagle can get the drive out, but it doesn't look like he does. Hines has a more solid drive out and winds up with a faster lap. Both of them seeing who can go deep into turn 1, and Cagle loses it. Flies out of turn 1. That's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. And I believe Bear has an off as well. Oh, man. So basically everybody up front has an off. So there you see Cagle pretty securely in second still. Just about halfway through the race. Bear is 8.9 seconds off of Cagle's rear. Voss sitting 5 seconds off of Bear. That's been a rare one this evening. Looking like Voss is just having a rough round. Key only 1.2 seconds off of Voss. Oh, now 3 seconds. Voss has started to stretch it out and he is working on trying to catch up to Bear, but isn't really succeeding. That's a bit of a surprise. Cagle, meanwhile, needing to catch back up after his mistake earlier. We'll see if he can do it. Clearly, it's not a problem with the bike. It's just all on him. He's going to have to do the best he can with what he's got. It is really easy on the coming out of the straights on this track to just really get overzealous on pushing the braking marker too far. Ooh. And you can see that tail flying around. Cagle having a rough time keeping that bike under control. Dean, unfortunately, having another crash. That's going to put him 6 seconds off of Key, back in 6th. Voss, meanwhile, has managed to close the gap between him and Bear to just over 1 second. It looks like Voss has decided he does, in fact, want to be on the podium again this evening. Hopefully Bear can hold him off. But he's got to do it for 5 more laps, and that is not an easy task. And look at Voss just sucking him up. Only slowing down as he gets cut off the line there, but Bear unable to keep it tight coming through 12. Voss looking for the pass, but just can't do it. Bear does get a solid drive out. As you can see there, ooh, Bear taking advantage of the Honda's longer legs, stretching it out, coming down the straight, but it depends on who's going to be late on those brakes. And it looks like Voss pushes it really deep, and now we're into the technical section of the track. So Bear's going to have to be on his toes to keep Voss off of it. Look at this. This is just very tight. Voss holding a bit more of a side, and it looks like Cagle had a bit of an off just a few seconds ago. Wow, nearly has another one as Bear touches him and slips by. Oh no! Bear unfortunately pushes it too wide out of 7, and there it goes. We now have Voss and Cagle fighting over second place. Bear all over Voss. Coming down into the straight parts of the track. If Bear wants to pass, this is going to be where he has to do it. Set it up close, coming into a turn, and blast out. And I don't know if he'll be able to do it. We'll see. Voss doing a great job of defending the line. Even getting a solid enough drive out that you can see that he's starting to push up on Cagle here. Cagle swinging way too wide in 1. Broke too late, falls over. And that's it. That is Voss into second. But Bear not letting go. You can see him sitting back there all over Voss. He's not going to let go of him. He's wheeling his way around the track. Look at this. Bear, the entire race, has been treating the front wheel on that Ducati as an optional accessory. Who needs that thing on the ground when you can just lean the bike, right? One-handed and one-wheeled. Ooh, that whole section there. Every time I watch him go through there, he is just wide as can be, but carrying so much speed it doesn't matter. Voss trying to get away, but it's not happening quickly. 2 laps left to go. And this is not yet decided. Meanwhile, Cagle just under 3 seconds back off of Bear. So Bear having no margin for error, as Cagle has been pretty good this evening. He just like in the earlier race, it was a one wreck that cost him. Look at this. Bear wheelies all really wide. Barely under control. Coming through 3. Just having a hell of a time keeping the bike under control. Through the double apex. Front wheel in the air again. Ooh. Barely keeping that rear end. Bear just keeping that Ducati at the edge of what it can do the whole way around the track. There he goes. Gets that section coming through 8, 9, 10. A lot smoother than he has the rest of the evening. But Man, it may be too little too late. Voss is really, now that he's got his rhythm, now that he's got nobody around him, he is setting up solid laps as they head into lap 10. Cagle, meanwhile, has fallen back to almost 6 seconds off of Bear. I don't know if he's going to be able to close that gap. Oh, and there's a wreck. Oh, that is unfortunate. It looks like Cagle is starting to fall apart. I'm hoping he can get it together, but he's now sitting 11 seconds off of Bear. That may be it for him unless he gets real lucky. Meanwhile, Key also having a bit of a rough time. Oh, there goes Voss. Voss goes down. And Bear manages to push into second now with Voss right on his tail. So this one is definitely not decided. Again, this track being absolutely mean to everybody this evening. Look at this. We are on the penultimate lap. And Voss is just all over Bear. He's only got this little bit of this lap and the final lap to make something happen. And if Bear can hold him off, he'll have a second place for GP. Oh, and Dean unfortunately having another off. I think that's going to be it for him. That is disappointing. Oh, look at this. Voss trying to slip up under Bear. Manages to make it stick. Bear just runs tremendously wide and can't get it back in time. Now we'll see if he can avoid getting a little too anxious and ahead of himself into turn one, and he manages to hold on to it. Look at that. Oh, and Cagle unfortunately having another off. That puts him over 12 seconds behind. Just a vicious track this evening, and even Voss sitting 23 seconds off of Hines. Hines just out there by himself. Hines actually just about to finish as the rest of the field is just starting the straights. As you can see there, Hines coming across the line in first. Meanwhile, your fight for second continuing all the way to the end of the track. Bear is probably not going to be able to close that unless Voss just screws up completely. And Bear momentarily nearly losing the rear, but does manage to take third. Gets himself a podium there. Man, what a race of carnage and attrition. Oh, as it looks like we'll have Hines, Voss, and Bear for your podium, with Cagle, Key, and Dean, then Jay and Richard rounding out the field. Just a difficult track all evening, beating the hell out of everybody. Lots and lots of wrecks, costing lots and lots of people places. What a good race overall, and as always, I mean, as you can see, everybody's able to turn down a solid lap. Just coming down to consistency, winning the races. On that note, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. We will have PS4 on Sachsenring, I believe, tomorrow night, starting at 7 o'clock. So be here with us. Hope to see you then. Thanks very much for watching this evening. And we will be continuing. We've got an entire, half of a season left to go. It's great. Great races from everybody this evening. I appreciate everyone for watching, everyone for racing. And we will catch you tomorrow night. Thank you very much.